What is up, everybody? Bootman here, and we're back with another Marvel Snap video. And in this video, I'm gonna go over 18 decks that hit Infinite within the first week of the season. So they gotta be pretty good, all right? So I always keep lists like this, and I wanna go through them with all of you. Last season, I was a little bit late, but hopefully I can keep up to date this season, all right? So this will give you so many different options, whether you have like some Series 4 cards, some Series 5 cards, or just Series 3, there will be decks in here that can help you get to Infinite, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help, baby. All right, but before we get started, if you're new here, hi, my name is Chris, and if you love Marvel Snap as much as I do, especially like ranking up the ladder, the competitive aspect, going over different strategies, stuff like that, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. All right, we have a bunch of cool stuff going on, and we're trying to hit 8,500 subscribers by the end of the month. Only need like a little over 100 more, so make sure you subscribe. But we have an amazing Discord server down in the description below, ton of cool people there. And if you're subscribed and you follow me over on Twitter, at BootmanMSTZ, you can enter our monthly giveaway where I give away 3 season passes for free. Next month, Guardians of the Galaxy, Nebula is gonna be the season pass card. Gonna be pretty sweet. All right, so subscribe and make sure you follow me over on Twitter, all right? And speaking of Twitter, that is where all these decks come from. I'm very active on Twitter, love chatting with everybody, love getting different ideas for decks, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all these lists come from that. So a few things before we get started. First off, there's 18 of these bad boys, so I'm gonna try to go quick. I'm just gonna try to give you some ideas of my thoughts around them. I've tested a lot of these decks, so just my opinions on them, okay? But also keep in mind, and I'll try to mention it if I know the player, if it's possible that they're in a very high MMR bracket and they face a lot of bots, because that does change things a little bit, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? And there might be a duplicate or two on here, but in my opinion, if there is a duplicate, it just is a testament to how strong that deck is, all right? So let's jump into this. All right, so the first one comes from Lord Asquith. I'm gonna attempt to say these names. We'll see how it goes. So this is kind of, I think this might be exactly the deck that I covered, the one from Revis that hit Day 1 Infinite. And check it out. I played quite a bit with this deck, and like it's hit or miss for me. I love the Sarah decks. I love them so much, but I swear to you, like my luck with some of these things, like I just won't get the counter cards that I need, like a Killmonger, like a Shang-Chi, because something I'll tell you about this season, especially, is like, you really either need some really dope counter cards, right? Like tech cards, like Killmonger, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, or you need stuff that's gonna push a lot of power out on the board, all right? So sometimes with these decks like this, I don't find that power. So you have Hitmonkey in here, you have the cost reduction to make Hitmonkey a little bit stronger, and Wolfsbane, a lot of people have been using Wolfsbane, I just haven't had that much luck with it, all right? This next one, this is from Joaquim Fitas. This is your basic Shuri deck, okay? So some people have been slipping in Captain Marvel. This is like kind of like a flex spot. Like some people are putting Vision in there and stuff, but yeah, this is still just at the top. Polaris is a pretty decent card, and I stopped using Polaris in my Shuri deck, but Polaris is dope. I have run it, like just playing today, I've run into so many Galactus players, like you need something, but this also has Cosmo too that can disrupt Galactus. So if you just wanna do your typical Shuri build, me personally, A, I don't have great luck with Shuri decks, and B, I don't find them too fun, but it is still the strongest deck out there, all right? So next up, comes from Lolo, and this is similar to the deck that Binks made popular last season, and I actually haven't tried this deck. I was actually talking with somebody on Twitter today. I've tried the deck, obviously, if you watch my videos from last season, but I haven't tried this deck this season. And I actually really like that this one has Cosmo. So Binks's deck did not have Cosmo, and it didn't have Moon Girl, I wanna say. Actually, Binks' deck is quite different from this one because it doesn't run Chavez either, it runs Dr. Doom. So I do like this, and if I do end up running this, it'll probably be something similar to this. I'm not a fan that it doesn't have a Shang-Chi in there. I would probably at least put in Shang-Chi instead of like Chavez maybe, because like I don't feel like you need Chavez in here. You have so much going on. You have Mystique to copy Darkhawk or Dino, like I don't imagine not having enough options of cards by the end of the game. So next up, we have Testas. All right, so this is another Sarah deck, okay? So this one's running Hood, has Nova, Beast, so it's like a Beast bounce type deck. I actually really like this a lot. I like this a lot. I'm actually gonna note this down because I'm gonna take this one for a spin. This one has a nice combination of the Sarah deck with Beast, and it does actually have a counter in here for Galactus. Again, so many Galactus players. Goose, I love me some Goose. And by the way, I think I forgot to mention this. I have been keeping a document, like a Google Doc. I'm gonna link that down below so you guys can go back and check all these lists. I'll link these down in the description probably as well. It's probably just easier for me to link the Google Doc, but I keep them and I'm gonna add on to it. So every single week, I just constantly add to that document. So I'm just gonna share it with all of you beautiful people. But this one, I really like. I really like that it has a combination of bounce with the Sarah. I like it a lot. All right, next up from Kevin, we have a control style deck and it's using Arrow. So this doesn't have any one drops, so you basically skip your turn every single time. I do like in this deck, if you know me, I love me some Enchantress. I love me some Enchantress. I believe this deck could be pretty decent. Yeah, like I like it. Like right now, and I don't know if it's just because I just played for like an hour or two just chilling, but again, I ran into so many Galactus decks. And when you're just sitting there without an answer, like if you saw the video I made the other day about like the best Hitmonkey deck, like the one I've been climbing like crazy with, it has Iron Man in it. It has Iron Man, and it's not like a 1000% answer to Galactus, but I've won so many games against Galactus just because of Iron Man and Mystique. But anyways, I like this because you even have Enchantress just in case like they pop a null and stuff, but Arrow is fantastic against Galactus. All right, so the next couple, we're gonna be getting into bot territory, all right? So this comes from none other than KM Best, okay? So this is your typical bounce deck. We've seen a lot of variations of this. We've seen some that are not running Chavez. There's a lot of debate going around back and forth around do you or do you not need Chavez in it. It feels like when I don't have Chavez, I miss her in this type of deck, but when I do have her in there, I'm just like, you did nothing for me. I will say this, Chavez is fantastic since I rarely run 6-drops and it seems like Plunder Castle pops up every 5 minutes. It is nice to have a Chavez just to toss something in there. But anyways, one thing this deck is missing is Black Widow, okay? So some people, I believe it was Jeff Hoagland, he replaced Bishop with Black Widow. And let me tell you, when I face Black Widow, it is one of the most frustrating cards, especially in a bounce deck. Like when you're playing with Black Widow, you don't notice as much, but like when it happens to you, you feel it. So like, I really want to get back to playing more decks with Black Widow in them. Back in the day with Majantress, I actually replaced Angela with Black Widow because it just seemed to be doing so much more. All right, but this is one of the decks KM Best used, and then the other one was that basic Sarah deck that we're talking about with like Wolfsbane and everything. But again, keep in mind, KM Best, he is in that bot territory. But these decks are proven, seen a lot of other people playing them. Okay, this comes from Houston. So this is another variation. So there are so many different variations on Sarah decks. That's what's just so interesting to me. And I like this one too. It has Enchantress and Shang-Chi. There's Maximus in here. And like, I'm always on the fence about Maximus and between Maximus and like Lizard, right? Because like, think about it for a second. Think about when Asgard pops on the board. Okay, Asgard, whoever's winning that lane at turn 4, you get to draw 2 cards and people race like crazy for it, right? So it's like, when I have Maximus, I'm basically giving them that for free unless I save Maximus for the final turn. But there are quite a few times when Maximus, since you don't have like Lizard or something, you're just playing him out early to keep priority or whatever it is, just to get some power on the board because, you know, you have all your other like high cost cards, stuff like that, especially because this isn't running Zabu. So yeah, if you're sitting, you know, with these higher cost cards in your hand, you're kind of screwed. So I'm not always a major fan of Maximus, but it's working for people. Next up, Lambie. So if you guys aren't yet, make sure you're following Lambie. He is like the Thanos guru, okay? So this is the deck that he was running. Lambie is another person too who gets like ranked like 500 every single season. So he is in bot territory, but this does seem pretty solid to me. I have never run a deck like this with like Odin, Dr. Doom. I'm not sure, like, I don't know. I will say like Wave in Thanos decks really screws me up when I'm playing against them. This does have like the death Killmonger aspect where you can destroy some things. So that's pretty cool. I haven't tested this one out yet, but I do think it is promising even if you're not in like the bot MMRs. All right, speaking of Galactus, boom. This build right here is probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest, okay? When you're pairing up like Shuri with Nimrod, but Shuri can also target Hobgoblin. It can also target Dr. Octopus. One of the games I was just playing against a very annoying Galactus, they were using Green Goblin as well. So they Green Goblin, and then they Hobgoblin, and like I was trying to like work around it, but since they did it on both lanes, I couldn't like block both lanes from Galactus, you know what I mean? But then a lot of people are also running Daredevil as well, just so they can bounce early. So something I've been doing, by the way, just a little quick tip, when playing against Galactus, if I smell Galactus coming, if I see like a Wolverine and Electro, and I can like map out my plays, like for example when I'm playing like the Iron Monkey deck with like Iron Man, like if I have like an Iron Man that I hit with Bass, if I already have Demon, if I have Bishop or Angela on the board, I will snap them before they start moving their stuff in motion, because I'm like, listen, like you better hope to God you have something that can block what I'm about to do, because if this narrows down to one lane, I have a lot of power coming for you. And especially, you can minimize what Null gets by not having things on the board, like if you bounce them back, but maybe that's like a counter Galactus video for another day, all right? All right, next up we have Get Wrecked. Get Wrecked, yeah, I knew this name sounded familiar. He plays with KM Best a lot in battle mode. So I was playing with this deck last night, and I actually swapped out Titania with Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I did that just because I like Negasonic Teenage Warhead in this show. I don't know what it was. I didn't have luck with it last night. These decks are strong. This is one of those decks where it feels like whenever I play against them, they're phenomenal, but when I use them, they're not as much. The thing about Titania is too, and like, I think it's very important to be self-aware in this game. Titania is one of those cards where I cannot play her before turn 6. I just can't. There are a lot of people where they can just like kind of visualize and see where Titania is gonna go, play her out early, clog up the opponent's board and stuff like that. My brain does not do that. And I think like this is something we don't talk about enough in Marvel Snap. You gotta be self-aware of your play style, what kind of math you can do in your head, right? Stuff like that. So like, I know that. And when I was looking at this deck, I'm like, I don't think I'll have many turn 6 plays with Titania. So I put in Negasonic Teenage Warhead, all right? But here's another deck, got to Infinite. All right, next up, we have another control style deck, but it's with Surfer. Surfer's coming back in a big way. And by the way, so those of you who don't know the backstory about me and my love for Shadow King, the whole reason I was excited for Shadow King was before the Surfer nerf, all right? And Surfer buffs things up like Brood under 9 power, but it puts a ton of power in the lane. Shadow King is an answer for that. So with the new Shadow King buff, you might want to think about running him again because Surfer's on the rise again, all right? So this is similar to the deck that I was using, I think that Mega Mogwai made, but it was for Negasonic Teenage Warhead. But this is a great example, like if you don't have Negasonic Teenage Warhead, this is what that deck looks like, all right? I used that deck to climb quite a bit last season. I think Negasonic was in for maybe Polaris? I wanna say Polaris. So anyways, strong deck. You have Daredevil in here so you can spot it, do the Professor X. When you had Negasonic too, but Storm was also in that deck. So there's a couple things in here that are different. But anyways, this is a dope deck. Check it out. Next up, good cards. So here is another one. This is similar to the Dark Dino deck. Again, this one's running Moon Girl, and this one has Shang-Chi. See, there's no There's no America Chavez in this one. So this right here, this is the one I would probably try. I would probably lean more towards this than the previous build that we saw. You have Zabu in here, and Zabu has, look how many targets Zabu has in here, like phenomenal. I would love this. The one I used last season, like Binks's, it didn't have Moon Girl, it had Maria Hill, which I was like on the fence about. I don't think it had Quinjet. I don't think it had Quinjet either. So yeah, this one I would highly recommend. This is one that I'll probably play around with tonight. It doesn't have too many counters, but it does put power, a lot of power on the board. And you can keep people guessing about whether or not you have Mystique. Coulson draws random cards that Zabu's gonna reduce. I like it. I'm a big fan of that deck. All right, now we got Rotello. We have another Sarah list. Again, I like this because it has Enchantress, it has Shang-Chi, Maximus, I'm on the fence about. This is one of the decks they use. The other one they used was a Daredevil control list. Let me look at this. This is interesting. Like, looking at this one, I'm just not 1,000% sure about the Daredevil. Like, the Daredevil does give you some intel, but the only thing I can see it being super beneficial for is Spider-Man. Now, what's interesting in here too, is like I was saying about Maximus and how he gives the other person 2 cards, the inclusion of Zero in here isn't just for Titania, but you can also hit Lizard or you can hit Maximus. This is an interesting one. This one's interesting. I definitely want to give this one a try. All right, so I've been seeing this deck run around a lot lately. So this is a Thanos build, and I've seen multiple people saying they hit infinite with this deck, all right? So Psylocke's interesting to me. Like, usually it's like, if you get Time Stone, cool, and if you don't get Time Stone, whatever. Like, Time Stone was mainly like a thing to like get out Leech early and stuff. I just don't know about Psylocke in here along with Time Stone, but you do have a lot of higher cost cards, but that's one of the reasons you have Lockjaw though, right? So this is interesting, but like I said, I've seen multiple people say they're hitting infinite with this deck. So this is ongoing. So you have Onslaught in here, you have Claw, you have Devil Dinosaur, you have Iron Man. Like, these are some dope targets for Onslaught. Onslaught, like, a lot of us used Onslaught in what, like pool 3? Pool 2? When do you get Onslaught? Anyways, Onslaught is an amazing card, and the thing is, he's so underutilized, like, people just don't expect it. So I haven't messed around with this deck yet, but I just like looking at it, I do see how people are climbing very well with it. And the reason why it's called like Johnson Fangoing, he put it right here. It was this person's, he like won a tournament, I believe, with this deck. So it's pretty good. And I was like, I might have been after the nerfs to the Thanos deck. Okay, so this one, you're always gonna hear a lot of debates about this. So one of the things I always ask is like, okay, how far did you climb with this deck? Okay, because when I look at this, whenever I see a deck that has Luke Cage, Hazmat, and Wong, and Absorbing Man, I'm like, this is a silly deck. This is for silly people. This is when you're having a silly time, but it's not one that you're climbing to infinite with. But I believe they replied to me and said that they climbed, yeah, hold on. I goofed around trying to figure out Hitmonkey and gained 5 or 6 ranks, but rode this deck almost exclusively from 78 to 100. If you want to, give it a go. These types of decks, they're just silly time for me. They work like 1 out of every 10 games. I did mess around with a deck last season that did have Hazmat and Luke Cage, but it was a little bit different. It didn't have like Wong and Absorbing Man. It didn't focus so much on it. It was kind of like this surprise play of Hazmat and taking away like 4 power from a location. You know what I mean? All right, we got a few more. So this is from El Jefe. He has 2 lists. I like this. This is what I like. Look, they show right here, 75 to 95, and the other one's 95 to 100. So another Sarah list, doesn't have Enchantress, has Polaris, pretty interesting. This one could be, yeah, this one could definitely be pretty strong. Like, I love Enchantress, but if you don't got her, I get it. My only issue, again, is Maximus. A lot of people are using Maximus. If I'm missing something with Maximus, let me know down below. Like, are you strictly using it for turn 6? I don't know. It's just like, card draw is so important in this game. Like, how many games have you lost just waiting on a card? So it's just like with Maximus, the most I used Maximus when I was running my Ronin Master Mode decks, and on turn 6, you could drop Mystique and Maximus, you know, to buff your Ronin, but that is like strictly a turn 6 play, you know what I mean? Whoops, I forgot to show you the second deck. Second deck is this one. It was just a basic Shuri build. So like the other one that we were talking about, this one uses Vision instead of Captain Marvel. All right, so we have another Surfer control list. This one looks almost, yeah, almost the same. Running Goose, very good. Goose is very helpful for you, not for your opponent. This is pretty good because it blocks like Shuri and stuff like that. Love it. I think, no, there was one on here. You'll see it in the doc that I linked down below, which was like an anti-Shuri list, and it was pretty cool. All right, then last up, we have Homeboy Maxwell. So, Homeboy Maxwell, make sure you go subscribe to him over on YouTube. Cool dude, really chill. He does a really good job breaking down decks and stuff like that. So this is originally a Jeff Hoagland build. So Jeff kind of popularized this like kind of double She-Hulk build, but it got a little bit weaker when they nerfed Quinjet, because you're not, when you're duplicating, you can't get like a 0-cost demon and things like that. But anyways, I believe Jeff stopped playing this deck because he just wasn't having that much luck with that. Homeboy Maxwell ranked up 24 hours from 73 to 105 with this deck. So I just played around with this deck for the last hour or so and just absolutely no luck. No luck. Like, I don't know, like Homeboy Maxwell, like he always like makes these decks sound so easy. He's like, yeah, I just like, I'm watching something over on my other monitor and I'm just kind of, that's how easy this deck is. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like something's going on where you're just like amazing with this. Like, I don't know if I would do better with this deck if I just 1000% focused and like played this deck out and mapped everything out. But I was not having luck. One of the issues was, like, when I watch Homeboy Maxwell play this, like his Carnage hits, like they make total sense, right? Like what he's getting with Carnage and then like maybe beasting it up, stuff like that. But like I'm playing it, I'm like, well, I just got my Sunspot to like 4 or 5 power. You know, I'm like, do I want to eat my Wasp? Because Wasp is kind of there to like boost up Hitmonkey towards the end. I'll tell you this, I like never got Moon Girl, so there wasn't any kind of double anything going on, you know? Like watching him play, I'm like, oh, this deck's phenomenal. You put it in my hands, this is where that self-awareness comes in again, where I'm just like, this is something that's not working for me. All right. But anyways, yeah, make sure you go subscribe to Homeboy Maxwell. He's building up his YouTube channel. Phenomenal dude. Check it out. All right. So anyways, that's all I got. Again, these are 18 decks. Yeah, they were all different. Some of them were slight variations with the Sarah decks and everything. You will find something in this list that you like, okay, that you have the cards for, that you can play. I want to give you guys a wide variety because like I said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing just because I love the creativity of this game and like making minor tweaks to decks and just testing things out, finding ones that fit my play style and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always keeping these. So I'm going to link the doc down below, but like bookmark it or something because I will be updating that document throughout the season. All right. So hopefully you found something. That's all I got for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe, ring that notification bell. We're trying to hit 8,500 subscribers and we have an awesome Discord server link down in the description below, and down in the description, you can follow me on Twitter at BootmanMSTZ because I do monthly giveaways for the season pass. I give 3 away for free, so make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. All right, have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.